500-gallon home heating fuel tank, backfill basement area with clean film material sand. Mentioned the asbestos survey. Full report, 10 months. Bring the bell down. Foundation walls, forest flares to be removed and hauled off site. Spread grass seed over area disturbed. Crush septic tank and fill with sand. This report does not include asbestos removal detected in this report. Doesn't say anything about fence or the hitching posts or trees or shrubs. They look very nice.
Yes, the posts are still in.
Well, we don't really know what we're doing with the site at this point. So if we put them back, it might be something we have to undo later. Maybe we can set them aside.
Lay them back behind the building, I guess, and we're going to discuss how the site's going to
Because
develop.
we don't know, I mean, we may tear that fence out at some point.
We have sections of fence back there.
What was the cost of putting that fence in? Remember? It was over 2,000. That section we put in.
Oh, the one that was hit?
It was around 2,000.
Between 1,500 and 2,000, I believe. Well, you had to rebuild the cement pillars. So that's where that came in. But that's new, that's a different style fence across that new
Yeah, that doesn't match.
part.
the
Yeah,
other
it doesn't match
fence.
the rest of it.
We kept the old fence and put that was in that was destroyed, is in the buildings back there. We repaired, we needed 2 sections around the church there. So there is wrought iron fence in the building.
Well, maybe we should wait then and see what we're going to do. Let's
If
keep
you want
those.
to table it, I guess my
Table, we
motion's
need to
dead.
discuss how we're gonna develop that area, what's gonna happen, I think that's our.
We got time.
And that's not anything we need to bring to it.
Set them aside and wait, see what we
Okay.
decide to do.
When I get done farming, I'll take them, go over there and put it behind the building.
Let's make a note of that. Now we're gonna table and discuss it.
Table.
Got this letter from Consumers Energy. You're receiving this letter because our records indicate your community has one or more street lighting accounts with consumers. Recent policy changes at the state and federal level impact street lighting. This letter outlines changes and provides options to keep your community make informed choices. Mercury vapor street lighting being phased out, which we have. You need to choose your street lighting option. Consumers Energy is available to work with every community to assist them through this process. There are several ways to communities can approach this situation. Option 1, do nothing. When mercury vapor bulbs and fixtures burn out or fail, Consumers Energy will replace them at no cost with the nearest comparable high-pressure sodium light. In many cases, this will result in a lower monthly charge for that location. 2, arrange a meeting with Consumer Energy representative using the information at the end of this letter. Items to consider are different lighting choices such as high-pressure sodium, metal halide, and light emitting, it's LED street lighting, which is now available for unmetered company and customer-owned lighting. For any of these light types, the new options may change lighting because of the pattern, shaping, or light color, which could be white, yellow, or orange, and temperature, cold to warm. Some of the lighting types may require the addition of fixtures if current lighting patterns or levels are required to be maintained. And also important to consider dark sky ordinances and changes in traffic patterns or congestion. understanding costs and savings, we're responsible for covering all or a portion of the cost of converting mercury vapor streetlights to comparable lighting technology. Under some conditions, there may be a cost to the customer. If you do nothing for the simplest situations, replacing the failed mercury vapor fixture with a standard light pressure, which I mentioned, head fixture, where one-for-one replacement is practically, there should be no charge. Or to replace functioning mercury vapor fixtures with a high-pressure sodium or metal LED lighting technology. An estimate would be developed by Consumers Energy, and the local government authority will be responsible for cost. For conversions to an LED light source, we anticipate the additional customer cost, depending on wattage, will range between $900 to $1,900 per fixture. The overall billing savings will vary depending on the lighting option selected, and whether the community owns the light fixture or Consumers Energy owns it. Please note that in both cases, specific applications may result in more or less savings. Working together on your street light replacement plan. We understand that converting your lighting system is an important decision impacting your budget, community, and citizen safety. That is why we want to partner with you to review your lighting and its application, and then develop a plan that is specific for your community. To get started, we have enclosed a fact sheet which includes streetlights in our building in the community. Consumers representatives look forward to working with Michigan community leaders and customers in coming months to review options and develop a long-term term. We have two lights basically here and another one.
What's the one by railroad?
Yeah, we have one.
I think that's
Unmetered high-pressure sodium lighting, just two. Installation, number of lights, three, outdoor lighting.
Isn't there one down at
Yeah,
Thompson?
there's one in Thompson,
Thompson.
Yeah.
and
Rock.
then,
And then
on
here
the
and
corner,
here.
no, Rugged pays for one of those.
The one on the,
Yeah,
Thompson.
there's something that,
Is it on their side of the road?
I guess we're not like we're a city, do we want to?
Well, this one was bad anyhow, wasn't it? Black
Yeah, didn't
flicker.
they replace this one?
Mhm.
Yeah. And what, the winter?
Yeah, it's not very long ago.
What do they estimate the savings at going to a sodium versus? Would you say a light's about $5 a month?
It says monthly price per light, $5.91.
I don't think they're gonna save that.
I was gonna say for what we got.
That's, I figured.
Oh, they're just gonna change them as they go along anyway, right?
Right,
Go with the first option.
That
Yeah, do
makes sense to
nothing.
me.
Yeah, I'll make a motion for the first option.
I'll second.
Third second. All
it's
those-
not quite over.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed, the same, motion carried. That ends the business part of the meeting. We're gonna open it to public comment. And I would just ask that everybody be considerate when somebody has the floor and speaking. And we'd like to limit it to 3 minutes per comment. So we're open right now if anybody wants to comment. I'll recognize you. I want you to stand, state your name, and we'll open it.
Georgina Obersall. I want to know, Mark, what happened to the meeting with Steve May?
Oh, everybody probably saw that in the paper, listed as a special meeting. What happened after that our last meeting, you know, I was gonna go and get that set up. So Steve called, the road commission, health department, and Tom Van Wagner, had everything set up. He didn't call me back with a time. It was gonna be on Thursday, and the plan was that each township board would have 2 representatives go, so we wouldn't have to have a full public meeting. Well, apparently the newspaper went at the Thursday meeting at the road commission, and they must have talked, and Orrin was like, you know, that there was gonna be a meeting. That's how it got in the paper. I don't think he put it as that, it was just talk that there, you know, there was gonna be a meeting held, it ended up being public. Put in the paper as public. Steve says, called me, goes, you know, now what are we gonna do? And I said, well, I don't see where we can have it and make it all work like that with that short of a notice, so we canceled out. So at this point, he had told me that the road commission's stance is, and this was talking to Stan, is that the project starts, they'll have to get permitting from them to do certain things on the road. So they're gonna take that approach to wait until it comes to them. And Steve Mays, basically the same thing, as permitting process for all the culverts, and they would have to have them all pre-engineered. So they've kind of got that covered. As far as the health department and Tom, I haven't talked.
Gail North, I've got a short paragraph I'd like to read. This is concerning the turbines. This is from retired UT Professor Reed Reynolds, and he wrote this interesting article to the Toledo Blade regarding wind turbines on April 26th. He writes that the environmental costs of wind machines are noise pollution, visual pollution, and bird kills. One aspect of wind turbines is often overlooked. Electric utilities are required to provide whatever their customers demand, while wind suppliers are not. In this part of the country, peak customer demands on electric utilities normally occur on the hottest summer days because of air conditioning use, added to other demands. These periods of peak demands also involve times of little or no air movement. So what we have is a utility company providing all or nearly all of the power during peak demand periods, with wind power providing little or nothing. Electricity customers are paying for the capital costs of the utilities providing the power, as well as the capital cost of the wind machines that are providing nothing. So no matter how much the wind power is added in the area, it will not reduce the number of megawatts that electric utility is required to provide to service its customers. But it will add capital costs to be paid by the customers whether or not the wind blows. The writer is a retired corporate economist for Toledo Edison and Centurion Energy and a retired professor of economics at the University of Toledo. So what we have here is a person with credentials who stands to gain nothing from either side of the issue. And he is telling us that our township's plan to allow wind turbines will actually cost us taxpayers more money without easing the burden on the utility company. So Ogden Township's plan to convert the countryside to what amounts to an industrial park will be for nothing. The wind developers stand to profit the most, and then the owners sign the leases. For the rest of us citizens of Ogden Township, it's a lose-lose situation. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Gene Smith. I live in Riga Township, and I just wanted to come tonight and tell you what I think, if that's okay. These ordinances that the townships are writing are extremely important to protect everybody. I think they may be one of the biggest decisions you guys will ever make, as you said, on your elected board. You're going to affect all the citizens in this township as well as the surrounding townships for generations. You know, the farmers are saying it's my land, I should be able to do what I want, and I can understand that argument, but they're standing to gain monetarily, where the rest of us are going to have to put up with all the downsides. I know you're being pressured from both sides. I'd like to ask, have you taken the time to actually look at the effectiveness of the wind turbines? Even if you get rid of all the other arguments, it sounds from everything that I've been able to find out that they don't really produce in a significant amount to make it worth the problems that they create. I think a lot of other states have already figured this out the hard way. The wind companies seem to pick on rural areas, and by the time the citizens get organized, it's too late. The green experiments, in my opinion, should not be at our expense. I also want to ask you, do you really believe these guys are going to be here for you 25 years from now? The contractor that spoke at the Palmyra meeting that I went to recently could not promise that. I believe they will come in, build, and get out as fast as possible, kind of like the ethanol plant that Riga fell for. It seems like the green meanies think we're right for the picking, and I'm hoping you guys will show them that we're not. We're counting on you, and if, you know, I think another point to think about is the fact that we all have to live together in this community long after these contractors have left. I also believe that we were all tight-knit communities around here, and until these people came in to tear us apart. And it seems like neighbors are no longer waving at each other, depending on which side they're on, and people are angry. And I find that very sad. I grew up in Sylvania, but I moved to Riga with my husband, and he lived in the area since he was a child. And yeah, I could never get over how friendly everybody is to everybody. You know, people driving down the road waving. The whole time I grew up in Sylvania, that never happened. And that's one thing I like about living out in the rural area. I just want to also say that ask yourselves what kind of legacy you want to leave behind for yourselves and your life and for your community. And I request that you try to enact a strict enough ordinance to help, at least if nothing else, keep these turbines limited. I think the majority of the citizens around here will thank you. And we had a very disappointing meeting in Riga. Our zoning board kind of changed some things at the last minute and shoved it on through, and now it's gone to the county, I believe. And nothing's been completely enacted on, but just some very disappointing things that they didn't address to put in our ordinance. It's very, very important, is what I'm trying to say, I guess. So, thank you very much.
I'm Lynette Van Camp, and I live in Ogden Township. I want to say just one thing in defense of Mark. I've been coming to a lot of the meetings, and everything I've heard about the church and the bid for the church was to remove the bell, demolish the church, and level the lot. So that's my defense of Mark. I too am kind of saddened by how this has pitted everybody against one another. You know, you used to, like Jean said, drive down the road and farmers would wave to you, and now they know who you are or which ones you are or whatever, and that's not really the community we want to have. You know, none of this is personal to anybody here. None of it is personal. I don't think anybody had any malicious intent when they signed any leases or did anything like that, but these wind boys, they came along, and they sold a bill of goods, and some people bought it. I have visited down in Paulding, and I will tell you, it is much more rural than what it is here. There's a lot more people per square mile here than what there is down in Paulding. And then I wanted to say that last week on Sunday was Mother's Day, and we were on our way to the cemetery and had to cross the Skyway Bridge down in Toledo there. And as we crossed the Maumee River, I said to my husband, looking over at the Fifth Third building, "Is that how tall the windmills are going to be?" And he said, "No, it's going to be closer to the size of this bridge." And if you haven't been down there to downtown Toledo, go down, take a trip across the river, and just look at how big you're talking about. And I just want to end this with the farm fields, the pictures. I want to thank Mark for going down and taking those pictures in that. I mean, I can't believe that this is what some of our ground is going to look like. I mean, I haven't seen ground look like that since I watched Full Metal Jacket last week. And you guys will be planting rice. I mean, that's what it looks like. That has really tore up the ground. That's it.
Yeah, my name's Charlie Masker. I'm here with my wife Sandy. We live down at Ridgeville and Pence. I'm asking the board to support what we seen in Riga a couple of weeks ago as far as decibels. We believe 40 decibels during the day, 35 in the evening would be appropriate. I was here last night, attended the Citizens Advisory Committee. A member brought up, it's called the final report of the Lincoln Township wind turbine moratorium. I would urge the board to read that. I read it, it's very interesting. What they did there is, after 22 turbines, it was decided, wait a minute, people are finding out it's a little noisier than a library. It's not what they were told. Currently, they're under their fourth 6-month moratorium on this. I would also urge you, John Young is his name, previous supervisor of that township. He's very approachable. He'll talk to you and tell you exactly what's going on. That township sent out a survey to everyone. If you read this report, it's in there. It's a very interesting reading. And once again, I recommend the board read that piece that was brought in last night. Thank you.
Storm Rider, Ogden Township. If anybody want to see how tall they are, just take a drive right down Bowling Green. There's 4 of them sitting.
Much shorter. I've seen those babies.
391 feet.
These are 483.
483.
493? Yeah.
Hi, I'm Eric Morris from the Ogden Citizens Committee, and I just, last night I brought this up at the end of our meeting, and, just for everybody that I'd like here in the room is the way to go and sort of look at this is to go with like the shadow flicker, the sound, and what I've been doing since it's gotten warmer out is I sit out in the morning when I get up, put my boots on to go to work or whatever, and I'll go and sit on my front porch, and that faces the sun to the, east, and I sit there and I go and look, out there and just hear how quiet it is, it's quiet in the morning, I understand that. But just to imagine that in that sound where they're saying it's 45 decibels, and they talk about the World Health Organization and everything, about the 45 decibels, is that when that was brought up last night's meeting, that 45 is what the World Health Organization states is okay, because inside the house it'll be 30 decibels with the window open. But with that 45 decibels, I asked a question to John Bullock from Exelon, and I said, is that the 45 decibels for wind turbines? And he said, well, no, it's just the 45 decibels outside. Well, the way